Everyone's talking about Ralph Breaks the Internet, and we've already seen some pretty wild fan theories about it. Seriously, these theories will completely change the way you see this movie. Let's check out these 10 fan theories about Ralph Breaks the Internet that are game changers.
Chumbo, if we nickel and dime it with Spamly, it will take 20 years to make enough money to buy the wheel.
Princess Stalker. One of the best scenes in the entire movie is the Disney princess scene.
Princesses and cartoon characters barf.
When Vanellope is running from the stormtroopers in Oh My Disney, she glitches straight into the princess dressing room. Every single Disney princess was there, but when they realize they have an intruder, their reaction is a little extreme. All of the princesses are ready to attack whoever has entered their domain. Cinderella even breaks her glass slipper to make an impromptu weapon. Merida draws her bow. It's crazy! This doesn't seem like quite a normal reaction to someone coming into your dressing room, but one fan theory on DeviantArt thinks there might be a little more to the story. User TrackForce suggests that the princesses have a stalker. They cite Elsa in particular with one DreamWorks character, Jack Frost from Guardians. Elsa and Jack Frost are often shipped together in fanfic, but this theory suggests that Jack Frost has been stalking Elsa. Later comments mention maybe it's Hiccup from How to Train Your Dragon. Hiccup is often shipped with Merida. We don't know if it's a DreamWorks character that is stalking these princesses, but either way, there's definitely more to the story. These princesses were instantly ready to fight whoever it was, and they were shocked when it was Vanellope. The end of Vanellope. Some of these fan theories are a little dark, and if stalking isn't dark enough for you, listen to this theory from the YouTube user, The Fangirl. The first thing you have to remember for this theory is the story of Turbo. In Wreck-It Ralph, Turbo was a character who left his game. He began to invade and sabotage other games.
Because of you, Ralph, I'm now the most powerful virus in the arcade!
It's also important to remember that if a character is caught outside of their game and they meet their end, they can't regenerate. Now, every character is made up of coding, but Vanellope is from a really old game. Her code is nothing like the code in Slaughter Race, but Shank says she adds Vanellope's code to Slaughter Race, but this is a huge problem. What about new updates to the game? Will Vanellope's code stay in? And eventually all great games come to an end. One day, Slaughter Race will go to the great video game store in the sky. And then what? Well, that will be the end of Vanellope. Where will she go after that? She will either have to live with an out-of-date code on the internet or go back and live with Ralph. Oh no, this is definitely not explained well. What will happen to Vanellope when Ralph retires? Ralph has been wrecking things in the Fix-It Felix game for almost 40 years.
My name's Wreck-It Ralph.
I'm gonna wreck it!
30 years I've been doing this.
His game is really old. Eventually his game will stop working or the arcade will close down. That will be really sad. Where will all these characters go? It's just not realistic to think that their games will last forever. Well, a discussion on Reddit has some ideas. There's a thread on the Fan Theories subreddit. Someone points out that Vanellope seems to get a pass on going turbo. It just isn't as big of a deal. Let's assume that Shank adding Vanellope's code does work, and Vanellope gets to stay in Slaughter Race forever. Could she add the code for any other characters? Reddit user GenealogyFan77 thinks that Slaughter Race would actually be perfect for Ralph. Okay, we know Ralph was terrified of the game, but if he didn't have to worry about being permanently deleted, it might not seem so bad. Slaughter Race needs things to get constantly destroyed. Ralph is the perfect candidate for that. He is called Wreck-It Ralph after all. He could make the game super interesting and wreck new stuff all the time. Plus, his BFF Vanellope lives there. It would be the perfect place for Ralph to go when Fix-It Felix gets unplugged one day. King Candy broke the game. Remember King Candy? In Wreck-It Ralph, he was the king of Sugar Rush, and he was determined to keep Vanellope from racing. He told everyone it was because of her glitch.
But there's one who cannot escape because she's a glitch.
But really, he had altered her code. If Vanellope raced and crossed the finish line, the game would reset. Everyone would remember that Vanellope was actually a princess and in charge of the land of Sugar Rush. Then we found out that King Candy was actually Turbo. This Reddit theory suggests that King Candy messed with the code so much it actually destroyed the game. forcing Vanellope and Ralph to go to the internet. We know what you're thinking. Ralph made a new track, and Vanellope fought for control of the car with the girl playing her character. The little girl pulled so hard on the wheel that it broke. But what if the game was boring to Vanellope because of King Candy's messed up code? And perhaps his code gave Vanellope the ability to fight against the player controlling her. Reddit user Louise122 seems to think this is the case. Was King Candy so evil that his misdeeds continue even after he's gone? What do you think about this theory? Disney princesses are avatars. These two next theories are all about the Disney princesses, which might be the best characters in the whole movie. We meet the Disney princesses in their dressing room. They take on Vanellope's style, and they teach her how to sing into important water and find her destiny. They are hilarious, and they also save the day later in the movie. Now, it makes sense that some of the princesses look quite a bit different from their original form. Animation has changed a lot since Snow White made her appearance in the 1930s. You might think they look a little different because they were updated into the new animation style. But Vexlius from Reddit thinks there is more to the story. What if the Disney princesses are avatars of themselves? When we make avatars online, we sometimes like to tweak our appearances to look a little different. This suggests that the Disney princesses are actually playing themselves. That is one interesting theory. It would be crazy if all the princesses were real and they played themselves on the internet. Would your avatar look like you, or would you make some changes? Let us know in the comment section. Disney princesses are robots. If the avatar theory seems a bit too far-fetched to you, Reddit user Vexilus offers a second theory. We know that the Disney princesses seem very realistic, but all the princesses are from different times.
I gave my mommy a cake, she turned into a big bear. My Aldrin tried to dare in. If that's not a pure mess, I don't know what is.
Brave and Moana take place over 1,000 years ago. Even if you just went by the movie release dates, Snow White came out before your grandparents were born. So how are they all existing at the same time and the same place? It's possible that they aren't really the princesses. Instead, they are sort of like robots. An intelligent agent is a special term in artificial intelligence. Intelligent agents are programmed to have a lot of knowledge and to operate all by themselves. They are even given goals to achieve, and they react to their environments. This way, no one has to control them. The princesses in Ralph Breaks the Internet are on the internet, which means they are just code. But if they are nothing more than a form of artificial intelligence, why do they get time to chill in their dressing room? That doesn't seem necessary. Think that's a crazy theory about the princess identities? Wait till you hear about Vanellope's identity. Stay tuned for that mind-blowing theory. A new Vanellope. Here's a crazy thought. There's probably more than one version of every character in the movies. There are other versions of the same arcade games in other arcades. There are other editions of things on the internet. It's like a giant alternate universe theory gaming style. This next theory comes from the fangirl on YouTube. It is totally likely that Sugar Rush will need to be reset at some point. Maybe it glitches or the arcade loses power. If Sugar Rush gets unplugged and plugs back in, the game will reset, but Vanellope is gone. If the game resets, there could be a whole new Vanellope. She will have the same code as the original game, but she won't have any of the memories of our Vanellope. She probably won't even know who Ralph is. Whoa, that is a scary thought. Can you imagine how Ralph would feel? Think about it. He sees the new Vanellope and he's so excited thinking his best friend is back, but then she has no clue who he is and has no idea of their adventures together. That would hurt. Ralph's Vanellope would still be on the internet in Slaughter Race. Mind blown, fangirl. That would make an interesting story for another movie or maybe a fanfic. Someone get on that. Vanellope is a villain. The fangirl points out some pretty major points in her video about Vanellope going turbo, and the big one is that Vanellope has a glitch, and she is also written in really old code. In the first movie, we know that happens when Turbo goes into other games, because he is the wrong code and he crashes all the other games. Wouldn't the same thing be true about Vanellope? At the beginning of the sequel, Ralph and Vanellope go to play in Tron, but the game is messed up. They have obviously played Tron before. Did their code mess up the game? And of course, Vanellope thinks that she is the one who crashed Slaughter Race at first. The bad code crashes games. This theory makes us think that Vanellope is now programmed to mess up games. She probably doesn't realize it, but she might be an accidental villain. The fangirl suggests that Vanellope is doomed to go from game to game, crashing everything she touches. That's seriously dark. Vanellope is so sweet. It's crazy to imagine that she is doomed to never find a game to call her own. But code just works like that. It's hard to believe that Shank could just write her into the new code. Maybe Shank just has some mad computer science skills. Slaughter Race is actually Sugar Rush. Okay, we realize this sounds absolutely crazy, but hear us out. First of all, look at the games. Sugar Rush and Slaughter Race have the same initials of SR. It's a racing game. Sugar Rush is a really sweet game with kids and candy, but it's still hyper competitive. Seriously, those kids are vicious when they race. Slaughter Race is dark and urban, and it's got more realistic graphics.
Slaughter Race. It is wicked dangerous.
A discussion on the subreddit r/fan theories raises some interesting points. One user suggests that Sugar Rush was the predecessor. Then it got an upgrade from arcade classic to console. By the time, it's a mass multiplayer online game. It just looks totally different. They needed to keep up with the trends in the video game world. But another user pointed out that according to Mr. Lipwhack, the company that made Sugar Rush went out of business a long time ago, but Sugar Rush had a ton of fans that grew up to love video games. Slaughter Race might be a homage to the original game. It might have been designed by a fan. What's your favorite video game? Is it a new game or an old one? Sound off in the comments below. Shank is Vanellope. This theory is kind of a spin-off of the previous theory. Reddit user Throw the Brick blew our minds with this idea. They suggest that Vanellope von Schweetz is Shank. Whoa. Crazy, right? First of all, Vanellope and Shank are both popular girl racers who are amazing drivers.
Get it?
Showtime. Let's race!
They're the best in their games. Honestly, girl racers aren't all that common in video games. So there is one major similarity. Secondly, they have the same style. They're both casual and comfortable. They both have dark hair and big eyes, and they are both played by Jewish actresses. This Reddit user thinks that Shank is a darker version of Vanellope. That would explain why they get along so well, even though Vanellope tries to steal Shank's car. But they are instant friends. It's because they are so similar. If you believe that Slaughter Race is a homage to Sugar Rush, then Shank would be a modern character that is based on Vanellope. If Vanellope wasn't from such a lighthearted game, she would probably look just like Shank. And if they are the same, that's why Shank has such an easy time adding Vanellope's code to the game. After all, she is one tough racer. This theory definitely gives us something to think about. What do you think about this theory? Let us know in the comments. And that's it for the 10 mind-blowing fan theories about Ralph Breaks the Internet. Give this video a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. See you next time.